Welcome or welcome back to the Citizen channel. Yes, and this is a part two in our special History Boys features. We look at the boys of 2011-12, and we started this with Mr. Samir Nasri, of course. So if you've not watched part one, go back and watch that, because this is just a continuation in part two of a conundrum of a player, wasn't he, guys? And we talked about that in the first part of this series, and we will talk about it in the second part of this series. As he hits the highs, and sadly we get the lows. So please join me for this part two of the boys of 2011-12, Samir Nasri. Please, the channel's now monetised. If you can follow any of the links to the ads or watch the ads, it'll certainly help the channel going forward and be much appreciated. And the same for my little sister channel, my film and TV channel as well. If you can get a watch of that and follow the ads as well on that, it'll be absolutely brilliant. Please, all thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up. Tell your friends about this. It's all City past, in between and forever. I mean, past, present, everything about City or history, current stuff. Don't forget. So if you can tell your friends about it, it'll be much appreciated. Say, push that notification button so you know when these vlogs are coming out. Yeah, we finished part one. Yeah, with a look at Nasri, and obviously we're getting ready for quite a big season. Possibly his best season at City. Most neutral people would, and certainly City fans would probably say as well. The 13-14 season. So on 2nd of March 2014, of course, Nasri had scored that wonderful second goal as Manchester City defeated Sunderland 3-1 to win the 2014 League Cup final. And his performance in that final, Nasri received the Alan Hardacre Trophy, given to the man of the match. And as I said, in the 13-14 season, for many City fans, it was sort of coming-of-age season for Nasri. I think it was obviously by then 26, 27. And King of the Kippax backed up that, as we've been regularly going back to their end-of-season reports on City players, of course. So we're going to go to issue 216 from August 2014. And this is how they sum Samir Nasri's season up 13-14. For 2 years, we really struggled to see the best of him. But now he's allowed that little bit more licence to roam. We are beginning to see why he was so highly rated at Arsenal. When stuck out on the flanks, he often struggles to impress. Well, as we said in part one, obviously, he preferred to have that freedom to roll in the central role. He never really liked playing on the flanks yet. Wenger did it, Mancini did it, Pellegrini was doing it. There you go. When stuck out on the flanks, he often struggles to impress, but Manuel Pellegrini has introduced a style of play that allows he and Silva to come into their own and just play things as they see it. No longer is he tied by tactics. He just seems to go and be given the freedom to strut his stuff. And how we notice the difference. He's playing football with a smile on his face again, and it's exciting us all with his open, creative play. There are times in away games when he still seems to sulk a little, when things don't go his way, and we still need to see him work harder when we haven't got the ball. Overall, though, it's been a massive improvement. We now have a player who's an integral part of the squad, as opposed to one we all thought might be on borrowed time at the Etihad. Yeah, I mean, obviously he was saying he made, I think, the King of the Kippax the season before, saying it might be the end of it, might be his last season. He gave a rating as well for this. It'll be around B+. He gave him a B+. So that wasn't too bad, was it? I was happy with a B+ if I was at school. LTP, he'll be around for some time yet. He's happy, the crowd like him, and he's playing well. So there you go. Things are on the up and up, or are they on the up and up? Who knows? So as well as mentioned, of course, the superb goal in the League Cup. I was right behind that one in the stand watching that goal going, as with Yaya's as well. And there was another couple of highlights that sort of summed up his contribution that season in what, for me and most City fans, was his best season, of course. We hadn't started well that season. We were beaten by Cardiff. We were drawn at home with, this is a 13-14 season, don't forget. Drawn at home with Stoke. But it was a goal against United. Oh, I always love a goal against any player who scores against United. Don't matter if it's back in the 1900s or now. It is great for me. And it's just our 5th home game of the season. It's our 5th home game of the season. Itself not overly significant. It was the last of our 4 goals. But at that stage, on 50 minutes, we sort of could relax and enjoy it. It was all over. At 3-0, you always think United could come back. At 4-0, it was pretty much thinking that was it. And it was a pretty complete performance as well. And this sort of highlighted what we got in most of that season. He had a pre-assist, a lovely back flick to Negredo, who's crossed for a 1-0. Aguero scored at 1-0, but obviously it was a lovely back flick to Negredo, who put it onto Aguero for 1-0. He took a corner for a glancing header onto Yaya that made it 2-0. He then played through Negredo, whose cross was put in again by Aguero to make it 3-0. And of course, he then himself made it 4-0. And Navas' cross finds him at the back post to side foot in. And he even managed to have a little sparring match with the corner flag. You remember that was one of his celebrations as well when he scored a goal. Another little highlight, which sort of tells us what that season was like for Sammy. We'll return to the City-produced 15-16 fan handbook, and this is number 3 in the 50 greatest Etihad Stadium moments. Number 3, this one. I don't think Aguero obviously be number 1. This is number 3, and it was 23. Number 23. I don't know the logic of that. In the 17-18 City-produced best home Premier League goal book. We're obviously looking at a different criteria, of course. And of course, it was our first goal in the final game of the season, when we clinched the title in a 2-0 home win against West Ham, of course, as Yaya fed Nasri on 39 minutes. It was getting a bit tense. I think Liverpool were losing at the time, so it wasn't too bad, but we couldn't rely on that, could we? Because a draw was going to do us anyway. But on 39 minutes, so just before half-time, a little nudge forward by Nasri to find that little bit of space. And then, as is his way, he did score a lot of distance goals. He unleashed a drive from 20 yards that nestled nicely into the bottom corner of the goal to settle our nerves. 1-0 up at half time. We'll take that. It's not the end, of course, but it certainly settled our nerves. And obviously, with an additional goal in the second half, we'd won the title again. And as a reward, on 10th of July 2014, Sammy signed a new 5-year contract with City, which kept him at the club until 2017. Obviously, it was as we do with City players, we sort of re-sign them a couple of years before, 2 or 3 years before a contract ends, so to extend it. But, as I say, we get to 14-15, and despite the positives and Nasri's rise in stock, if you like, almost as quickly as it rolls, it did begin to wane in the 14-15 season, summed up succinctly again in King of the Kippax. We'll go to their end-of-term report. This is for issue 225, August 2015. Sammy. Oh, that you had a yard of pace. What a player you'd be. Don't forget, they were waxing lyrical the season before. Like Vincent Kompany, though, Nas looks like a man growing increasingly broad across the beam. Yeah, he did have a weight problem when he actually retired, didn't he, guys? So there's a tendency of that in it, even when he was at his peak. Not quite Neville Southall, but definitely Robbie Fowler in his Fats Elvis period. If he is to stay at the club, and subsequent to that ridiculous piece of selfish fly hacking in the new camp, I'd be more inclined to move him on. Then he needs to really put some graft in during the summer, come back lighter, quicker and hungrier. And then there's the equally difficult task of winning back the trust of his manager. I thought we could get Isco, then I'd sell, otherwise I'd keep. So obviously Mr. Isco's being mentioned again. So say from the highs of that review of the last King of the Kippax about his season 13-14, not so much 14-15. And of course, moving on from that in Pellegrini's last season at City, which was a little bit of a disaster, wasn't it, guys? He had a little opportunity. He didn't come back sylph-like and redeem himself, because by the 22nd of November 2015, Pellegrini confirmed that Nasri would miss 4 to 5 months of action because of a tendon injury that was sustained in training, wasn't even sustained in a match. And it was no doubt that it was missed during the season, but sadly probably not that much by that stage. And of course, King of the Kippax, we'll go back to them. I had a little to say about this disrupted season. This is issue 234. August 2016. Not a lot of words on this one. Sammy Nasri had a season disrupted by injury, which perhaps provided a case of we didn't know how much we missed on him until he was gone. His ability to keep the ball and quality in possession aligned with creativity was sorely missed, although his slow play and anonymity when the going gets tough see Southampton away was certainly not missed, as we had a few who stepped into those particular roles. So don't forget, I mean, that interesting B+ score he got a couple of seasons ago has now gone to C-. I would probably still gone for that at school, C-, but not great. The cracks were there, guys, wasn't it? And obviously covered there in King of the Kippax. Interestingly enough, the City produced handbook for the 2016-17 season entitled The Ultimate City Squad. Had Nasri in one of the midfield spots, which recognising what he had contributed to City over the years. And indeed, Mike Summerby was quoted in this little magazine. He said, "He has all the ability in the world and is a fantastic player. He can turn and win a game for you. He has played his part in a great side. I still think there is much more to come from him." Sadly, Buzzer was to be proved wrong on that one, wasn't it? The arrival of Pep, of course, with the end of Peller's, would see the end of Nasri as a City regular. I think he did manage one game from memory. So that was it. That was it for Mr. Sami Nasri as far as playing for City on a regular basis was concerned. He'd done about 176 games. These are the stats I've seen. 110 wins, 26 draws, 40 losses. He was actually subbed 86 times, which is very interesting to me, which just shows... Is that a lack of fitness? Is that? I mean, it's for a player like that to be subbed 86, almost. That's what almost half the games he started, or obviously because that allows for games he came on as sub as well. But he's not going to be dragged off as sub, is he? Well, possibly, but you never know. So that's 80. That's amazing stat. 27 goals he scored for us, 2 Premier League titles. You can't say that away from him. A League Cup and even a Community Shield, which was a great day at Villa Park, of course, against Chelsea, which was another goal he scored that I remember fondly. 23 yellow cards and 1 red card. So not a problem disciplinary-wise, just a bit of a problem being a lazy bugger sometimes. Of course, he was still at City, and on August the 31st, 2016, obviously with the arrival of Pep, Nasri joined Spanish club Sevilla on a season-long loan deal. So that was pretty much saying the writing's on the wall, wasn't it? August 2017, Nasri signed for Turkish side Antalya Spor on a 2-year contract for a reported fee of $3.5 million. I think he cost us $25 million when we signed him back in the day. In 2017, obviously more problems off the pitch as he was suspended from football for 18 months until January 2019, of course, following a doping violation. So not great. A bit downhill for our Samir, obviously, from the highs of that 2013-14 season. He also had a handful of appearances, didn't he? He made a brief comeback for West Ham, and he also played for Anderlecht a handful of games as well. And Nasri announced his professional retirement from football in 2021. And there's some images of him, I think, him playing for old boys Marseille teams. There might be an image up on screen of him, but a little bit bigger around the girth, which we sort of commented on even when he was at his peak. So he did have a tendency to put weight on, unfortunately, for a small guy. That was one of his problems. So there you go, Samir Nasri. Yeah, a bit of conundrum, as was said in the King of the Kippax. He could frustrate and give you joy, as I say, not just over a series of games, but in an actual match. And as I say, he was still remembered fondly. We still sing his name, of course. We still sing his name when we play Arsenal. We still sing his name occasionally. But, those games where we start bringing out all the old songs, of course, we at least he had a song. Some players go through their whole careers at City and don't get a song. At least Sammy, we had a song that we belt out and we enjoy singing, certainly when we play Arsenal, of course. But at the time, it was a big coup, wasn't it? Arsenal were on the way down and City were on the way up. But I like Sami Nasri. I like Sami Nasri. I'll call him Sammy. I like Sami Nasri. He was okay. I said he just didn't quite put it in sometimes. And I say to City fans, we loved and probably hated him, especially with that Van Persie goal at Old Trafford. Yeah, we certainly hated him for a while. It took a while for me to forgive him for that. But he was part of the guys. Well, he was part of that 2011-12, wasn't he? And that's all that matters. A legend. He won't get a statue, of course he won't, but yeah, he'll always be a bit of a legend to me. So I hope you enjoyed this, guys. Let me know, please, what your thoughts of Samir is and his time at City, etc. Any thoughts you've got of him. And I've not seen him around for a while. I'm recording this in January 2022. I've not seen him connected with City that much, but certainly I haven't seen him slag City off it anyway either. So I think he has fond memories of his time at City, although it didn't end particularly well. As far as Pep was concerned, he possibly could have been a Pep player, but I think the idea, even when he was younger, would he have been willing to work as Pep would have wanted him to work? But he certainly had the skills to be a Pep player, and a roaming job, if you like, especially as a roam, to play on the left, the flanks, or play down the middle. It would have suited Pep's style of football, but perhaps wasn't where Nasri wanted to be at that stage, or that sort of responsibility he wanted to take on. But on his day, a fantastic player. Anyway, thanks for watching. Never going to do the rest of the day. Have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More importantly, let's all look after each other. To me here again on the Citizen channel. I only ask one thing, I don't. Please stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.